I guess we can go on and jump right in, right?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, oh, it's a transcript. Okay. All right. So, I don't know if you know, but recently Carlos King titled you or proclaimed you as the Force Multiplier of Real Housewives of Dallas. The sassy, the funny, the queen, who I would call the queen bee of Dallas, the oh so successful Miss LeeAnne Locken. How you doing today?
That is the sweetest. Thank you.
No problem. I love you. Like you're the star of Dallas, if we're being honest.
You are so sweet. I just happen to be in the right place at the right time.
Okay.
I'm doing great. Life is wonderful. My husband's doing good. My dogs are doing good. Life is good.
That's so good. So we'll catch up in the end, we'll get to where you are currently. But let's
Okay.
go back to the very beginning, how we were introduced to you. On
Yes.
April 11, 2016, you guys aired season 1 of Real Housewives of Dallas. Let's just talk about the beginning. That first episode was to 1 point, I think they said 0.7 million viewers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the beginning in season 1 and how you all met and how did the show form.
So, we did not all know each other, which I think was a bit of an issue as far as I'm concerned about knowing who people are. Like, I did not know Stephanie and Brandy at all. I
Okay.
knew of Cary Duber, but we ran in the same circles, but we didn't really work on any events together. And then
Okay.
I brought on Tiffany. So the first season, we didn't even know we were housewives. They were calling it How to Make It in Dallas.
Oh, that's
And
good.
it was just not what I thought. What I signed up for was a show about nonprofits and my work in the nonprofit world. That's what I wanted to show. That's why you heard so much charity in the first season,
Yes.
because back then that's truly like where I spent all my time. I was out every night at a different event.
Okay. Well, thank you for that backstory because I wondered watching the beginning, like, okay, are these women organically connected? I know Stephanie and Brandy were friends prior, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Stephanie
so
and
I know
Brandy were
some.
friends prior, and then Cary, really, because she didn't have anyone on the show, got very close to Stephanie and Brandy.
Okay.
And then I had Tiffany, and that's how I thought that's how the season would stay, would go, but life is fun.
I love Tiffany, by the way. Tiffany was
I do.
everything, and I wish we would have saw a little bit more of Tiffany. Um, and that was one of my questions. So we're gonna just jump to the end of season 1 because I mean, season 1 was like a pilot season in my opinion. It definitely picked up seasons 2 and 3. I am a huge fan of season 2 and 3. I feel like it was just so good. Like you
It
guys
was
understood the
so
assignment.
yes. That was it though. Season 1, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know
Yeah.
what the show was. We didn't understand. And then, honestly, we did not find out that it was going to be called Housewives until the season wrapped. We were already done filming the entire season, and we were going to have to go shoot our intros.
Mhm.
And the night before, he called us and said, okay, I've got to tell you, you're going to be a housewife. You're going to be Real Housewives of Dallas. And I was like, no.
So did you know when you got that call, okay, I'm gonna be in the middle with my star in the middle? You knew, like,
No.
I know you taped the season, but thinking back on it, did you think you were carrying the show?
I didn't think I didn't know what it meant to carry a show back then. So season 1, no, I don't think I did. I thought everybody just so misunderstood me and and Dallas as a city itself. And so it was really hard for me season 1, you know, because I was like, it's like trying to explain yourself, and you know who you are, and you're not using the right words to say who you are because you've never had to explain yourself. Life has always given you time for people to understand who you were. Then when you get in the position of, okay, well, you don't have time to understand me, so let me just tell you who I am, and then 3 seconds later go around and do something that you just said you didn't do. It's
Right.
just, it's an awkward situation for season 1. It really was. Season 2 and 3, once we knew we were housewives, we were like, game on, let's go.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So we're gonna just wrap up season 1. Okay, so were you and Marie friends?
We were.
Like real friends?
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, and so is that why you had such the reaction you had on the Austin trip? Because that would explain it to me as a viewer.
Oh, we were like sisters.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, you go crazy on your family because you know your family knows you and they can take it.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, you have to understand, like, before the Austin trip, Marie would come over to my house on down days, and she would pull this BS. She'd be like, "Oh, LeeAnne, I'm so worried about your mental health. Let me take you to a psych ward." And I'd be like, "The F is your, like, what? Go home. Go, like, I ain't got time for this. Like, you know, go
Right.
home." And I thought she was, because she was studying psychology at the time, that she was just over interpreting everybody. But no, she was mentally just jacking with me. And so
Okay.
by the time we got to Austin, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you're doing, you know the shit you're causing, and you won't own it.
Yeah.
You
I
won't
mean, it makes
stand up
sense.
like a real woman. Yeah, own it. Like, listen, there's nothing I've said or done that I have not owned, you know?
I agree 1,000%. That's why I could not wait to speak to you today, because I feel like you're one of the more misunderstood housewives. When I think of all the franchises, me and a friend binge all of Dallas. And so by the time, because when we watched 1 through 4, I believe. No, we watched 1 through 4. And so by the time 5 came, we was excited. This, and in the news of you not being on the show. I'm like, who's finna bring it? Who are these women finna talk about? Who finna get into it with who?
Who they gonna target the whole season?
Yes, like literally your name comes up every single time. So the
Yeah.
Marie stuff, it definitely makes sense now. So
Oh
let's
yeah,
go on
the
and jump
Marie
to
stuff. Marie was torturing my mental state and pushing my mental boundaries every time we met off camera. So that by the time on camera came around, people were like, "Why are you overreacting to her?" And I'm like, "Well, you can't talk about." And they used to say to me, "You can't talk about what we didn't see on camera." So
Right.
I'm like, how do I explain me going batshit crazy on somebody when you didn't see what she was doing to me behind the scenes, you know? So
And that's funny that you can't do that, but at the reunion, Stephanie and Brandy brought up you throwing the glass, which we didn't see, I don't believe.
I didn't
And so,
throw anything. I flipped a thing over and it was metal, so it didn't break. I mean, all that, a lot of that is exaggerated for
no.
television.
I already know. Look. Them
It was
two, they
ridiculous.
stayed pulling strings, and it was kind of frustrating to watch. And so let's segue into season 2. And I personally felt like you were there for Brandy during her and Stephanie's falling out. I didn't get why she flipped on you the first chance she got. And
First chance.
I know you two in a great place now, so I don't want to, ruffle no
We can still
feathers.
talk about the past because it was
Yes, let's
there.
talk about it, because we saw Cary be a friend to Stephanie,
Yeah.
and we saw you be a friend to Brandy. And I remember the iconic hot dog confessional. I loved it. It was amazing. It was so catchy and just creative.
My dog's still mad at me for that.
And like, let's just talk about that a little bit. Was that a genuine friendship that we saw between you and Brandy, or did you think it was? Like, what was going on that on camera it seemed like you two were good?
Yeah.
So where did y'all go left? Was it Stephanie wanting to take Brandy back from you? I thought Cary felt like you were trying to stir the pot. What was that situation about?
Cares about anybody stirring the pot but her because she don't know how to stir it. Brandy, I thought that I was having a genuine friendship with Brandy. I've learned since, that was all for TV. They wanted a storyline, and that was their storyline. And sadly,
so they faked the fallout, you think?
I think they exaggerated their fallout. Because you notice what happened was, like, we were filming and the fallout happened and it was a good storyline for them. And then, like, right before airing, they put the fallout in the teaser, but Brandy and Stephanie are all over Twitter. We're fine now. And I'm like, you wanted the storyline. Why are you giving it away?
Right. Because it only lasted maybe like 3 episodes, if even. It didn't go far. And it just seemed contrived, and I don't know. I feel like Stephanie would put on her pageant girl voice, and they would frustrate me a lot. And I feel like those two kind of came in between the success of the show. I feel like the show could have been a little bit better if they didn't just agree about every single thing or just come off like a dynamic duo that needed to be split up. So I was kind of here for them beefing at first, but okay, so let's talk about something else. What about DildoGate in Mexico?
Oh my Lord Jesus. She would not let that thing go. I mean, she, it was crazy. It was really crazy. And at first I was laughing along with everybody else, like, oh, it's funny, Brandy chasing Kameron with a dildo. And then when Kameron was like, seriously, you need to stop, and Brandy was beyond obliterated and was like, no, because once you tell Brandy to stop and she's drunk, it's like trying to stop a locomotion. It's not gonna happen. You can put your body out there, but it ain't gonna stop it. And so that was when I was like, okay, give me the dildo, stop, and then I hit it. And then for days they would break into my room. And
I saw Brandy come in the room with you and Deandra looking for it.
Oh yeah, looking for
it. And so did she ever get it back? Did she get the dildo?
Production made me give it back to her.
Wow, probably to torture Kameron a little bit more.
A little bit more, of course.
Right. So what did you think of Kameron and Deandra when they joined on season 2?
Well, Deandra, at the time, I thought was one of my best and dearest, closest friends. And Kameron, when she joined, she was scared to death of me. Brandy and Stephanie and Cary Duber had all wined and dined and lunched her to death before she signed on. And they basically had set this precedence of LeeAnne's dangerous. Right. LeeAnne will just attack you physically for no reason. That's what they were saying to Kameron. So whole time that they're trying to sign Kameron and Deandra, I'm getting phone calls from the owner of the production company going, LeeAnne, you have to stop. And I'm like, what I got to stop? I mean, like, what am I doing? I'm confused. Just explain to me what I need to stop. And he's like, well, you're making it very difficult for Kameron to want to join the show. And I'm like, I don't even know the bitch. How? What are you talking about? And he's like, man, you're fighting with somebody and some Brandy and Stephanie. And I go, okay, I'm gonna give you a little 411 now, Rich. This is how it's gonna work. Your little babies need to stop calling their daddy, which is you, and whining about non-existent shit. I didn't have a daddy growing up. I don't need a daddy now.
Right.
If you got a problem with something, you talk to them. I'm not doing shit. I'm cleaning my house. That's literally what I was doing at the time. I was cleaning my house. But that's the shit that they constantly did behind the scenes to make the owner of the production company absolutely not like me at all. He believed everything that Stephanie and Brandy told him. And see, and me, I'm the kind of person, like, I show up at work, I do the job, I go home, I don't call my boss and complain. That's not me. I'm not a baby. I'm an adult.
Right.
And I'm also not a manipulator.
And rewatching it, I could not help but see that in Stephanie. I don't know, Brandy, not so much. Brandy would kind of like do the most sometimes too, but Stephanie definitely would. I don't know. It was super frustrating to watch, and I felt so bad for you. So seeing Deandra come on, you two seeing like y'all had like a sisterly relationship
We
where
did.
she could hold you accountable, you could hold her accountable, and it just seemed easy. It didn't seem forced. I was sad to see that turn. And so to hear this backstory with Kameron and how that backfired on them, because during season two, Kameron and Brandy got into it.
Yep.
During season two, she really was iffy on Stephanie too. So, I mean, let's
It's
talk a little.
yeah. You know what the saddest part? So the production company and the network were also disappointed in Deandra's turn because they really felt like they had the new Kyle and Lisa kind of Dallas, and Deandra was going to keep it classy, and I was going to be the crazy one, and Kameron was going to be the lightheartedness, and Deandra has a really hard time not being the brightest light in the room. And
Wow.
when we were friends and we would go places, I would always like dim my light and like highlight, how great she looked or all the awesome things she was doing. And I constantly pushed her up. And I think that when the show came around and we started filming, that it's no longer my job to hold your hand, even though I did in season two. It just became, she was pissed. That's why we did in Beaver Creek when we got into it. We had got into it because she said that we were all exhausted. The cameras weren't rolling. It was like late, like kind of 2 a.m. And
Was
Deandra
that when
thought,
y'all was arguing about who's the
who's
star of
the
the show?
queen, which is, and that is actually not what we were arguing about, but Brandy helps push that
Right.
misnomer.
Of course.
Deandra literally said that we didn't qualify as a housewives until she joined the cast because she
Because
had
her,
money
her and Cameron had the zip codes and
right,
the
right.
status and
So I take a lot, but when I'm drunk, I'm like, I sat up and I was like, excuse me, how the F you think you got here, bitch? Like we all
work
did
season
season one,
one. Right.
and and it just slowly fell apart from there. Every time Deandra's goal became Brandy and Stephanie's goal. Brandy and Stephanie's goal from season one was to get me fired. Deandra, right at the end of season two, immediately flipped and was like, I'm joining season three. I'm going to get LeeAnne. I'm going to get rid of LeeAnne. So, it's just, I tell people, people ask me all the time, they're like, would you do RHOD again? And I'm like, no, I don't know that I would with the same cast because it's just going to end up being the same results. They're still going to, they don't get, Deandra refuses to see any value I had. I think at this point, Brandy and Stephanie see it, but I'm still owed apologies that I ain't got.
That you should. Let me just jump in there real quick.
Uh-huh.
It's unfortunate what happened between you and Deandra because I feel like there was some authenticity to that connection.
1 million.
As for Brandy and Stephanie, it just almost seemed like it became an obsession. We saw moments where you connected with both. I just mentioned at the beginning of season two, you were there for Brandy. You was her friend. At the start of season three, at Deandra's engagement party, you and Stephanie had a moment that we did not, as viewers, expect to see.
No,
I thought the tree could grow from that.
You know why you didn't expect to see it? Because that is authentically what I do at every dinner party. So here's a little thing that I've been learning since the show, a lot more about my PTSD and the way I grew up. Children of trauma are not good with surface relationships. That's why Cary and I struggled so hard because she won't go deep. She's ice skater, just right across the surface. I don't trust anyone that won't have a deep, authentic conversation with me. So when I turn to someone and say, yeah, I've tried to kill myself, it's my opportunity for that person to then find some common ground to connect with me on. And, look, that gave Stephanie a huge storyline that she never knew she was going to have,
right.
And Never got a thank you for that.
Because I mean, besides that, what else did she talk about besides home renovations, building lockers with trash, stuff that we really never cared to see? So I agree. I think she owed you a portion of her check for sure from that.
Well, I don't know much of that, but
um, so let's talk a little bit about the moment at the 4-year anniversary party where it was turned into an impromptu wedding for you. Was that awkward?
I know I knew him, and I knew that was gonna. Listen, here's the thing you have to understand about me in Dallas. I know everybody. So no matter whose party it is or wherever I go, if someone sees me, they're gonna find a way to try to, want to include me in their speech or bring, have me come up or whatever. And so I was like, I knew it was, I could already tell he'd been drinking. So I knew something crazy was going to happen, and I knew it wasn't going to, that's not going to help the situation with Deandra. This was supposed to be her night.
Right.
And so, no, I that's why I was like, no, let it go. Put it back on Deandra. It ain't about me. Put it back with
And who knows if he was helping her set up a storyline for Deandra, because if you would have got up and got married to Rich
right there,
right then and there, right, she probably would have blew a casket,
Oh my God, that would have been the night LeeAnne ruined my anniversary. Yeah.
When Brandy came in,
she would say LeeAnne was so jealous of all the attention I was getting that and that's the kind of, I'm like, I didn't even know he was gonna do it. Like that's the small stuff that just drives me insane. The girls hated that everyone in the city liked me. The girls hated it.
I mean, like I said, you were the queen bee, point blank, period. And
I wasn't trying to be, that's the sad part.
I mean, I think naturally when you're a leader and you just have a personality that's as outgoing and entertaining as yours, you're naturally just gonna stand out amongst the crowd. Like Brandy without Stephanie, Stephanie without Brandy would have brought nothing to the show. You stood on your own and you took on that entire cast. So I give you your flowers. So let's go back to Kameron a little bit.
Okay.
You and Kameron do have a real friendship, right?
Yes, very much so. I have a friendship with Kameron, her husband, her mother-in-law. Yes.
Okay. And so her reaction to the Bubbles and Brew with the baby, and she thought, Stephanie told her in Beaver Creek, was that a real thing?
Yes.
Just a hamster wheel.
Here's the thing. It was words. And that's what the cast always got wrong. Like, you didn't listen to what Kameron was upset about, and Kameron was having a hard time really pinpointing what was upsetting her. And then Stephanie was only hearing what Stephanie wanted to hear. And then that became this, thing. And I just was like, I'm going to bed. I mean.
Yeah, because they flipped it into she was mad that Brandy adopted a baby, which was not the case.
Dumb and not dumb. But you see how it makes them look like the angels and the other person look like the bad person.
But I mean, if you had watched up until that point and know how they move, it was like, look at Stephanie just working. But I mean, I feel like her getting Brandy the baby was a beautiful thing, and I love that storyline. Especially since that was Brandy's first boy, right?
Right.
And then he was a redhead and he fit the family, so it was just perfect.
Yeah.
So let's go to season 4.
Okay.
Let's wrap up season 3. I have 2 more questions.
Okay.
Denmark. Why was you trying to get receipts on Cary and Mark when they jumped in the water and you had the phone recording? You remember?
I was like, y'all are jumping in this ocean. I'll record it for you. I wasn't trying. And then Brandy was like, delete the video. And I'm like, there's fucking cameras everywhere. Right. My iPhone is going to be a damn problem. Like, that was the dumbest shit. I knew I wasn't going to jump in the water because I'd gotten flesh-eating bacteria in Mexico the season before. No thank you on oceans.
Right.
I'm good with pool. And so for me, I was like, well, I'll record it for y'all. This is this is a big thing that people do in this country, is jump in this ice water. I'll give you my copy because you're not going to get this copy for quite a while. And if they edit it, They may not even see you in the water, you
Right.
know? So I thought I was doing a nice thing. Child, I did not need to see Mark Duper naked.
I was here for the receipt. I thought it was hilarious. Me and my
Oh,
friend
Brandy
died.
on the bus was like, give me your phone. I'm like, I'm not giving you my fucking phone, bitch. Crazy.
Right.
Like, tell me how to do. Look, I deleted it. And she was like, you got to go to the trash folder. And I'm like, there's a trash folder? What? I didn't know.
Yeah.
That was the dumbest. But that's the thing. When they want so much to have a reason to
problem.
fight with me,
Right.
but they can't find one, and then they start making shit up like that. That's the shit that got old. Because then it was like, no matter what I did, I was gonna get dogged. You know?
Because it was like, Brandy, you more mad than Cary. Like, it just
Oh my
don't
God,
make
Cary
sense.
did not care.
Yeah.
No, come on. Cary gets naked all the time. Cary did not care.
So, okay, just really quick. If you had to pick Cary B or Cary D, who would you pick?
Well, Cary D, I know her. Cary B, sadly, Cary B and I could have been really good friends, but production refused to let that happen. I mean, her goal was to, fight with me.
It seemed like she came on through Deandra to fight with you for sure.
No, production literally told her in Mexico, you need to fight with LeeAnne. And she was like, why? I don't even know LeeAnne. What am I going to fight with her about?
But if I remember correctly, the initial issue was a situation about the rooms or something.
I was supposed to sleep in bed with her.
Yeah.
And then when we got in there and she was like, this is my room, I was like, okay, it's her room, I guess. I didn't want to be rude and assume. I think that's the thing that most people don't get about me is I really am an introvert with an extroverted career.
Right.
And so for me, I'm not going to push anything. Number one. Number two, I like to sleep naked.
Okay.
And I don't need Cary Brittingham taking pictures of my naked ass stretched out on a bed all over the place. I just didn't know where to trust her to sleep. Sleeping with someone is a big trust thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Definitely. For sure. So really quickly before we go to season and wrap up a little bit more about season 4, in Copenhagen, because we were still talking about Denmark a little bit there, and I just had to get that quick question. And I can see why you would pick Cary Dube over Cary B for sure. You and Deandra almost came to blows.
She pushed me first. I would not do not physically touch me when I'm drunk.
It was everything.
Dumbest thing you can do. And I got to tell you, if Cary Duber had not grabbed my arm, I would have pummeled the living shit out of Deandra.
Wow. All over Kameron, and it started with Deandra being mad about, I think Kameron saying something about, or it's Cameron's mom, Court's mom saying something to her about being friends with Brandy and how that could make her look different in the society. And that's what they were arguing about at the table, I think. And then it went to the elevator, which was the most hilarious scene. Brandy trying to close the door, drunk. Wow. She stayed drinking. So, yeah, so you were going to hit her.
She almost pushed me down a stairwell. Behind that sofa was the narrow flight of stairs that went to the cavern where I was staying. She almost killed me by pushing me back.
See, I thought in that scene, I just loved it because to me, you and Deandra were like the two top dogs. And so to just see y'all go toe to toe, it was frustrating, but it was also good because I'm like, I know neither's gonna back down. So
no.
Yeah, y'all was gonna go to the end. So I was trying to hear for that.
She really thinks that I wouldn't hurt her, and she really needs to question that.
Yeah.
I mean, because literally, I'm just not the right person to push. I grew up on a carnival. I could have put her in jail that night for touching me.
Right.
You touch a person when they don't want to be touched. It's assault, no matter what country you're in. I should have put her in jail that night.
And cameras rolling, you got the footage. Cameras rolling, you got the footage. So do you think Deandra backpedaled with the Adderall comment with Brandy, like when she twisted it and said that?
100. I have text messages from Deandra where she was like, I'm going to out this. I mean, she was trying so hard to destroy Brandy with that Adderall comment. Yeah, big time.
And then backpedaled and said it was about herself.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, why are you backing down from Brandy?
Cocaine, but never Adderall, trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So season 4, we're gonna jump back to season 4. So the Cary stuff, I mean, the show got really dark around that time. It was kind of tough to watch because you definitely just seemed like all you had was Kameron. Then they turned Kameron against you. Or kind of, sort of, I'll say. I wouldn't say she was fully dogging you, but she was
She
definitely in
didn't know what she was doing is the problem. Like they were
yeah.
saying one thing to her, and then the way they aired it was completely different. And she and Court were pissed what they did to them against me, because the Westcott household is a big Team LeeAnne people, and so they were pissed. They were really pissed about it.
Yeah, because you always seem like you had Cameron's best interest.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I did not want Kameron to be exposed or tortured by things that she couldn't unsee. Cameron's just really is like a little unicorn, you know? She's just this cute little pony that's been led around the world, you know, and only take her where it's safe and pretty. And I just didn't want her to be, and I didn't want her to be put in a situation that she had no idea how to handle.
But Kameron threw that napkin at Brandy. She definitely popped Brandy with that napkin. So Kameron could get a little sassy. She had a little sorority girl in her, you know?
She did
She was mad about getting chased with that thing. But okay, so what were we talking about? We was talking about Kameron, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Kameron was the only one in season 4 that at the reunion, yes, had my back.
Yeah. So do you think the folding chair was extreme from Brandy telling you sit in it and like they was gonna teach you something?
Oh,
like,
that was Brandy being Brandy. Yeah, that was Brandy.
For season 5 to come out and what happened with her happened. You get what I'm saying? What happened with both of them? And we're gonna get into that too, because season 5 was tough to watch. Season 5 was tough to watch because there was a lot of hypocrisy that took place prior to that season. And so to see people cry fake tears and not really be held to the carpet how you were, it was kind of frustrating to watch for sure.
How you think I felt frustrated? That's how it was for the first 4 seasons for me.
Yeah.
Everything I did had to be pushed to the wall. Everything they did was like no big deal.
Yeah.
No big deal. No big
and
deal.
It just seemed like an alliance that just needed to be split up. Like if at some point they would have split them up, it could have been a better show.
Never ended. You'll never split them up. Would have never ended.
You don't think so?
Their husbands do business together. Money business. You're never going to split those two up.
And who we're talking about? Brandy and Stip. I'm sorry.
No. I don't know how to end this. Vicky's trying to call me.
It's okay.
There we go. Sorry.
It's okay. So you talking about Brandy and Stephanie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Just to be clear.
When you mess with people's wallets, their loyalty gets real quick.
Right. That's true. So just at the end of season 4, and I mean you can answer it however you want to. Were you fired or were you put on pause?
Oh no, I was asked what I wanted to do. And, you know, the thing about it, I don't know if you've ever, I'm the kind of person that I always talk to myself in my head all the time. My first date with Rich, I was like, he's so funny. I love him. And I was like, what'd you just say? Now, mind you, Rich is just looking at me and I'm having this whole internal conversation. I was like, girl, put the wine away. Get some coffee. So when he called and was like, he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, it just in my mind, I was just like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to work with them. I don't want to be around them. And I go, you know what? I don't want to do it. I don't have to. I don't want to do it. I don't see any way to work with any of them. I just don't. I'm done.
And can I just jump in? It proved your point that they would take the smallest thing and exacerbate it. Because, for a prime example, I'm a black man. And to hear you say, oh, she's Mexican and strong, I didn't take that as an offensive comment. I truly didn't. I'm like, you're saying her race, which she is Hispanic.
No, her nationality.
Her nationality, right.
Do you know what her race is?
No. What is it?
She's Caucasian.
Oh, so Cary's breeding can't
No,
right?
she's a white Mexican. They're white Mexicans, black Mexicans, Indian Mexicans.
So she
Just
was
like there are Americans.
right.
You're a Black American. I'm a white American.
Right.
American and Mexican are our nationalities.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Okay.
I was still standing up for you saying I didn't think what you said was offensive at all.
Do you know we even have a restaurant in town named The Mexican? Like,
Right.
I guess I can't go eat there, huh? I mean, come on. You know,
Yeah.
like everything down here, Mexican people are a large percentage in Texas. So yes, when we describe someone, we're like my Asian friend in New York. Hey, you know, the little Asian guy over there, that's my friend.
Right.
That's not insulting. You know, that's me physically describing him. And to be honest with you, I mimicked Cary because Cary spent the entire season telling us how powerful I can drink 6 bottles of tequila because I'm a Mexican. I can do this because I'm a Mexican. So then I was like,
was a
there's the
problem.
big bad Mexican.
Right. No, I mean, when you said it, I laughed. I just thought that you were like you two had a banter that it was just unnecessary, and that was your way of undermining who I think she thought she was to the group.
No, I was like, yeah, you say you're this and this and this, and one ping pong ball comes and hits your tit, and you're like fucking out.
Right.
And I'm like,
yeah.
But you wanted to be the big bad protector of everybody and drag all us here to a strip club where everybody's high. And half of them are in the sex industry. This is what you want to do? Go visit a sex workshop? Come on. Like, can't we do classy?
And then to see how she was a part, to see how she was a part of the treatment of Tiffany too, it's just like it was so interesting to just see season 5 how they all were moving and how none of them really were holding each other accountable.
None of them. I didn't watch season 5. I just heard about it and I saw memes like when I'd get on social media. People would be like, LeeAnne, what do you think about this? Oh, and by the way, if you watch the Miami reunion, you will see one girl call another girl a chirpy Mexican. And Annie didn't say shit.
And so, okay, let's talk about it because, and I want to segue into something that I was going to talk about with season 6 and all that stuff, but I think we should just talk about it now with that point you just made because I love that you just kind of connected the dots for me. We've seen housewives not be held accountable for dating a guy that faked cancer with Vicky Gunvalson. Last season, New York didn't even have a reunion to address a lot of the microaggressions we saw with Ebony K. Williams, the first Black housewife of New York. I mean, the lawsuit from Nene Leakes. I mean, we can, we have how Renna and Kyle and the Force 5 are treating Garcelle and Sutton and Crystal. Do you think that there's a double standard with housewives across franchises with behavior?
100%. It all has to do with your connection to the production company and to the network as a whole. You know, the thing about it is the housewives that are really good are really hard to control because we're naturally talented, we're naturally outspoken, and we have our own opinion and we don't have a hard time voicing it. So yeah, I think there's a double standard all over. You could if you did a map of double standards in housewives, it would take you 3 years, because yeah, of course, 100%. And I knew once they opened that gate and started using the racist term, which I'm not, and I've never have been.
I don't think you're a racist. I just want to be very clear. I can tell you're not. You're super cultured. You're like, sometimes watching the show, I'd be like, she the closest thing to a sister I got on the show. You get what I'm saying?
I'm literally the blackest black woman on our show. Thank you. But you know what the thing is about it is like, how can I be such a huge LGBTQ ally, which only believes in inclusivity of everyone and stand up? I mean, I was just at Austin Pride and some protester was standing on the edge of the bar with his microphone, talking about sin and going to hell. And My little happy drunk ass just walked right out there and was like, somebody took video of me going, you need to get off the step. I'm going to have you arrested if you don't get off the step. You get off the step and I'll talk to you. And he got down and I go, you can't get on that step. That is property, private property. You cannot protest here. You can protest over there on the sidewalk. See, I'm married to a police officer. And then he's like, well, may I read the Bible to you? And I said, no, because I can turn over a rock and God is there. God loves all of us. Every single person in that bar, God made. And do you know what God doesn't make? Mistakes. And I turned around and walked right back in the bar.
You're amazing. And I just want you to know that. And when you would take accountability, they just wouldn't allow the tree to grow from the accountability you would take. I mean, you called your own actions idiotic. You said you don't know why you were saying some of the things you said about like Mark Duber, for instance. You took ownership. And I really hope that if that show is rebooted, you're smack in the middle where you deserve to be. Because you are the show. You are that force multiplier of the show.
I felt bad what happened to them in season 5. I was a little disappointed that they couldn't do one season. That was really disappointing.
Yeah, the ratings were so low, but I have to say, I love Tiffany Moon. She was everything. She was amazing to that show, especially for a rookie housewife. She got them together, and it was good. It was so good.
You know what? I've had lunch with her a couple of times, and I really enjoy her.
Yeah, I saw that she publicly said that you two are friends and that y'all text sometimes. So I love seeing that. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I loved when Cary B was like, well, English isn't my first language. And Tiffany was like, English wasn't my first language either.
Right. And then Kameron with the chicken foot was just silly.
But here's the thing. Production is the one who did that. Kameron took the chicken foot just like I taught her and tossed it on the floor.
Mm-hmm. For a second. Let's see.